Hello and welcome to Bible FPL. I suppose a brief review of Game Week 24, largely a look at the whole concept around the enjoyment in FPL, basically, because I think over the past few weeks and months, I've done a few videos on this sort of thing, and I'm just seeing more and more sort of reactions online and, putting two and two together. And I suppose I've been assessing, like, is FPL a game where you genuinely have more fun than you have stress, particularly for those who take the game more seriously. So I just wanted to have a little bit of a discussion around that, really, and I'll do my sort of proper team review, transfer plans, fixtures, and thoughts out of Game Week 25. I think in another video in the coming days. I mean, initially, like my team's doing pretty well this week. Just very briefly, I'm recording this at half time in the Sunderland game on the Monday night. Mukiele, another assist. Like this man's just been a legend for the team, and it's things like that where like I just was watching the game there. I saw Mukiele square it, get the assist. Like that was fun, and there are definite moments of fun in FPL, and it's why we play it. Like we enjoy getting points. We enjoy watching a Monday night game of Sunderland v Burnley, which otherwise we wouldn't care less about unless we were a Sunderland or Burnley fan. And I've been able to enjoy a Mukiele assist because I've got him in my fantasy team. There's enjoyment there that's been created because of FPL that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for FPL. So obviously FPL can be a fun game, but I'm just I wanted to just do a bit of a video around like is it more stressful than it's fun? But also more importantly, like because it's a game we all love so much, how can we make it a game that we enjoy way more than we get stressed by? And I just wanted to give a few food for thought around it. The amount of times I've seen like the likes of FPL Harry put up a, FPL is fun, right? Are we having fun? Are we all having fun? Because there's just so many game weeks that are just like void of points and void of returns, and you spend a week like planning your team and thinking about it, and then come the weekend, everyone just stinks up the gaff, and you're just like, that wasn't fun at all. That was just more annoying than anything. And in recent weeks, I've looked at things like this, where on the deadline stream leading up to the team leaks, a classic FBL Harry reaction here. But just he was just so stressed like leading up to the deadline with all the team leaks for Game Week 23. I looked at that in a previous video, and again, like there wasn't fun there. There was just a lot of stress, particularly like leading up to the leaks and then waiting to see the lineups come out and then waiting to see if your, decisions have changed, etc. I did a whole video on that recently. My man Nightmare recently has done a video. He was looking at Nick Trigger's reaction on a pubcast video where he basically just got really stressed and triggered, pardon the pun, by some like sort of live reaction FPL stuff that was going on, and he thought, this Kanji bloke was taking the mick out of him and stuff, and he basically just got really peed off, and you could tell it just really stressed him out, and he was just fed up really, and FPL that evening got the better of him. I showed you this video a few weeks ago of this chap who was celebrating a Tavernier penalty, but I was talking about how like it was from a point of just sheer relief, really, rather than like pure enjoyment. It was largely a relief reaction. And having sort of thought about all these things, and I suppose the tip of the iceberg is, Steve O, that used to be an FPL content creator, has recently quit FPL because he was just like the game's not fun anymore. I get more stressed out of it by than I enjoy it, and I go into games at the weekend which otherwise I could just sit and enjoy like with a bag of popcorn and just enjoy the football for what it is and not care less about the result. But now I'm like getting annoyed because Bruno Fernandes has missed a penalty or whatever it might be. There's just loads of examples out there. I'm seeing more and more of just people getting stressed by FPL and me included. Like in my own journey of FPL, I've been learning over the years what stresses me out, where I can get more enjoyment from the game, and this season I've really been sort of like looking into playing the game in a way that works for me, where I do genuinely get more enjoyment from the game than stress. And I think through my decision making in terms of how can I get more enjoyment out of this game compared to and basically mitigating stress, reducing stress levels. And just to give you a few examples this week with my team, where I maybe did all right in some areas, I didn't do so well in other areas. So my transfer this week was Chalobah in for Tarkowski. Now all week I'd had my heart set on I want Chalobah in for Tarkowski this week. I want to cover Chalobah for the run of 4 Chelsea games. My heart was on him, and I basically, in the end, I think it was going to be a price rise that would have priced me out. And I was just like, I know it's going to bother me more now if I don't do the Chalobah move. And then Chalobah does like a mega haul against West Ham. And, and I haven't got him. Like the other way around, if Tarkowski does well, It'd be a bit annoying, so I took him out, but it's going to annoy me more if I didn't go with the guy that I was like really set on. So that I think the brief example there of, and it ended up paying off by 1 point, but like the point was, I knew going into the deadline when I looked at my team, I'm happy with my team. I made the transfers I wanted to make. Like I'm at peace. The captaincy one was interesting because I was very torn this week between Bruno and Haaland. And all week I was on Fernandez to captain, and then just towards the deadline, I don't know, I just had this gut feeling a bit more about Haaland, so I ended up captaining Haaland. He still returned, but Bruno did better. It was a bit annoying. I think I wasn't terribly frustrated because I suppose my gut in the end was Haaland, and I went with my gut. But because I'd been on Bruno all week, like it was one of those again. It was sort of a bit of a learning for me where I was like, in future games to deadline, I don't know. I kind of want to be set on a captain for longer rather than like a bit of a late change. I never really am a big fan of late changes in FPL. And again, for you guys watching this, like it's decision making based on how you tick and what's going to bother you and what's not going to bother you. And if you're on someone a week and there's no real reason to change it, it's probably going to bother you more, isn't it, if you change it and then that goes wrong. So it was a bit of a learning there for me with Haaland. I think in the end I was like, actually, I probably just should have stuck with the man that I was planning to do a week. Like, there was no obvious reason to change it other than I've got a gut instinct. And sometimes my gut instinct, I'm like, well, my gut says this, so it's going to happen. And obviously I can't predict the future, so my gut instincts aren't always right. So I think, sometimes on a 50-50 call, maybe going with the gut helps to make that decision. Like I've got a friend this week who was really strongly considering Ekatike captain and wanted to captain Ekatike, like so much so he was like all week just like I kind of want to just go for it. But in the end, out of fear, he captained Bruno. And in the end, again, went all right. Ekatike did better though, but like almost as soon as the Liverpool game started, like he knew he should have captained Ekatike. Like before he even returned, I think he just sensed like I wanted to captain Ekatike. Why didn't I do it? And I think again, like that's just a real lesson in terms of just follow your heart with FPL. Like you weigh up the logic. Don't make ridiculously rash decisions. But if you've weighed up, like with Ekitike, like he studied it. He was like Newcastle they're going to be tired. After their fixture, congested fixtures recently. Liverpool are sort of looking good. Ekitike's looking good. Like he had the whole narrative there. Like the logic was there, the heart was there. And the only reason he didn't go with it was because of the fear of going against Bruno. And again, like in his situation, the question I always encourage you guys to ask yourselves is what's going to bother me more? If come the deadline, he was like, actually, it's going to annoy me more if Bruno hauls when everyone else has gone for him. That's why he went Bruno. Like, I think fair play of the decision. But in the end, if it was purely like, I really want to go XTK, but like, I don't know, I'm just a bit fearful of Bruno. But then come the lock in of the deadline, you're just like, your heart sinks because you're like, I just wanted to do Ekitike. Why didn't I do it? And then you watch the Liverpool game and you see him score twice, and every bit of you is just like, I want to be celebrating this now, but I can't even be that happy because I should have captained him. You learn from these things, and you learn in future weeks in terms of okay, what move's going to be right for me and my team and how things work. And I think taking hits is a huge example of where FPL can just cause so much stress because the amount of players you're taking out for a start that could do well, you're then having minuses as a result. Like you're then chasing heavily into that game week and you're just willing on every play you've brought in just to try and like drag up your score to outdo the hits. And you're just increasing the risk massively in terms of this going terribly wrong and it really annoying you and it really like ruining your weekend. So I'm not saying to never take hits, but I think my punchline for this video is set yourself healthy boundaries in FPL that work for you, and you know that actually the boundaries are going to be good for me. Like that whatever that for some of you it might be actually I just want to go into every week just taking like five hits and bringing in all the best players I want to have for that game week because I know that's just gonna I'm gonna enjoy that more. I'm gonna release the shackles. I'm not gonna sort of count all the points. I'm just gonna play the game where I bring in all the best players every week and I'm just gonna enjoy it that way. And if that works for you, great, do it. For other people, if you know you're gonna be very aware of all of those points you've lost and you're gonna be aware of the difference and the swings, like maybe the boundaries for you are you just play a bit more of a sensible FPL game and you allow yourself to take risks where they're really justified. But you play within an element of boundaries, and obviously the top FPL managers often are top for a reason because they play within certain boundaries. But I'd argue a lot of them have more fun because they play within certain boundaries because they don't risk the sort of mental health stresses to levels that are way beyond what you need to often in the game. And yeah, I think like it's the same. It's the same with Christianity, like as a brief thing. Like some people think, oh, like religion can be so like controlling and legalistic and restrict your whole life and this, that, and the other. And well, for starters, Christianity is about a relationship with God rather than like a religious thing where it's like I'm doing all of this because I have to. You know, God changed your heart to want to do these things, but also you know the instructions God gives for our lives are to actually help us. They're to help us to enjoy life more. There's a verse in John 10:10 which says the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. So that's referring to the devil. We did a little video on that last week. If you want to tune back to that. But this is Jesus talking, I've come that they may have life and life in all of its fullness. And that's the genuine truth. Like, as a Christian, God wants to give us life and life in all of its fullness and to help us feel full joy. And part of the way we can get full joy, as well as being immersed in His Holy Spirit, is by following the guidelines that He's given for our life, because He knows that the things He's told us not to do are not there to just restrict us and make us miserable. No, the things He's told us not to do, He's told us not to do because He knows they're going to ruin our lives and they're going to stress us out or they're going to, you know, completely damage our mental health or damage our physical health. Like, you know, verses around don't get completely smashed out of your mind with drunkenness. He's not saying you can't drink and have the odd drink to enjoy yourself, but he's saying don't get smashed out of your mind. Well, partly, I think, you know, if any of you watching this have got drunk before and smashed out your mind, you'll know the hangovers aren't very fun. You'll know your liver's taken an absolute kicking. You'll know sometimes you might not even remember the night before. You may have thrown up everywhere multiple times. Like, come the next morning, you're probably sat there thinking, I feel awful, and I don't want to do that again. And maybe next time I go out, I want to have a few less. Like, you know, on one hand, you could say, well, God's controlling me for saying I shouldn't have loads and loads of drinks. But on the other hand, after you've done it, you're like, well, actually, the instruction was there for a reason. I'd actually have been happy if I didn't get completely, you know, destroyed with drink. And, you know, there's many other examples that I could give with that sort of thing. But I do think the same sort of thing, you know, encouragement is there with FPL. Like, healthy boundaries do actually bring more enjoyment to the game and ultimately more freedom in some ways because you're playing within a means where, you know, you're in control of the game, you're in control of what you do still, but you're controlling it in a way where you know what things are going to bother you, you know what things you're going to feel at peace about, and you can manage the game in a way that works well for you. And I guess that's, yeah, my encouragement for this video really. Like, all of you have different ways of doing things and different ways of playing the games, and all of you will have different mental health things where you know what you're going to get more enjoyment from an FPL and what's going to bother you more. And that's always the question to ask yourself when you have a 50-50 decision, what is going to bother me more? And I think go for the thing that's going to bother you less and the thing that you feel most at peace about. And like I said, often that will be your gut instinct, the thing you're wanting to do will be the one that prevails. And I think, yeah, just generally for most of us, I think you want to take it easy with hits because I've had seasons where I've taken hits after hits, and looking back, I'm like, no, those were the years I got more stressed by FPL than I had more fun with. Whereas this season, having played a slightly more conservative game, I've taken a few hits where they've been justified, but I've played a game that's been a bit more measured, and therefore I've taken less risks that can go terribly wrong and therefore really stress me out and bother me. You know, if you go into each game week with a team that you're happy enough with, you know, you've got your set of players that you're going in, you know, week after week with. You've made a transfer that you feel peace with, the captain you feel at peace with. There's justified decisions across the board. There's nothing too reckless. You can look at your team in the week and go, I'm just going to enjoy whatever points this team produces. And whatever doesn't return, fair enough, it is what it is. And then you just like, yeah, enjoy the good moments like the Mukiele assist tonight, and then you crack on to the next game week. But when you've done a week where you've taken loads of hits and you've maybe gone against your gut because you're fearful of something or whatever, there's all of these areas where you're just left like stressing and being bothered by and regretting, and that's no fun, is it? So I think I'll leave it there before the video's too long. I'll get into my sort of transfer plans and things in the couple of days. I mean, in an absolute nutshell, the plan on the main team is basically to roll the transfer because the team's looking in pretty good shape. The Bible FPL team, which has done slightly worse this week, I think 20k now we're on the world. We'll probably need a transfer because I don't really want to start Mane v Chelsea or Pires against West Ham. So it may well be Munoz in for Palace and for Dorgy, which I've got the money to do. I just really fancy Munoz over these sort of next coming fixtures. And yeah, there's sort of the evidence that I don't know if you can see it, but I've got enough money in the bank basically to with my free transfer to shift Dorgu up to Munoz. But I'll talk about that more in the coming days. A lot is basically going to ride on these Carabao Cup fixtures. So the headline in terms of transfer plans for you guys is don't make early transfers this week because what basically if Arsenal beat Chelsea as planned to knock them out of the cup, Arsenal Wolves will double most likely in game week. Well, no, I think it's been confirmed that they will double in game week 26. If Chelsea cause an upset and they pull it back and they knock Arsenal out, it throws a lot of things up in the air because then Chelsea and Everton double and not Arsenal and Wolves in game week 26. And therefore, all of a sudden, I'm just going to roll the transfer or yeah, I'm just gonna bring in Munoz, changes to hang on a minute. This team's only got one Chelsea and no Everton, and this team over here, which one is it? This one has got okay, it's got two Chelsea and no Everton. So therefore, if I want to sort of attack these doubles and get triple Chelsea and at least one Everton, I need to start prioritising those guys come game week 26. So Carabao Cup will change everything on Tuesday if Chelsea win. I'm hoping for an Arsenal win because my plans are in a much better place for the Arsenal result. And yeah, the FPL stress conversation is definitely going to be felt more if Chelsea win. So I'm definitely willing on an Arsenal win. But yeah, I'll leave it there before it's too long. By the way, what a legend, Diego Gomez of Brighton, top goal scorer in the Carabao Cup as a Brighton fan. Imagine if he gets the golden boot in the cup when we got knocked out a couple of rounds ago. Legend. Anyway, yeah, we'll leave it there before it's too long. Team selection and transfer plans, and food for thought around the best players to target and that. I'll produce in the next couple of days. But for now, yeah, do comment if you have any sort of insight on this that you found. Hopefully, you found some of my comments helpful, some of my thoughts helpful. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this subject because I think mental health in FPL is a massive thing, and when it comes to enjoying the game and getting stressed by the game, like it's huge. And like FPL Nightmare, love the guy. He's often doing rants when he's had a difficult game week, and I get it. Like he's just venting his frustrations, and this game can be frustrating. But I do think there's ways you can play it to limit the frustration. So yeah, I'd love to hear from you in the comments about that. Do like and subscribe for more. I do appreciate all the support on this channel. But for now, yeah, leave it there. See you in the coming days for my team selections heading into Game Week 25, and I'll catch you all very soon.